Okay, fabulous. So in this video, we are going to learn how to do semitone modulation. What does that mean? Well, we've got our original music, but we want to make it more interesting than that. We want to show all of the ways that we are able to be amazing musicians and composers. And one of those ways that we can do that is by changing key. Now, there are lots of ways to change key, but one of the best ways that reflects pop music genres is to do what's called a semitone modulation. A semitone modulation is when you go essentially from one note like C all the way up to D flat. Now that sounds really complicated, but there are a lot of easy ways that we can do it. So let's just listen to an example. I'm going to show you an example of one chord progression. Let's say it's my chorus. I've got a bit of a melody in there. And right around here, you're going to hear our semitone modulation. So let's just have a listen and then I'll show you how to do this. Go on and on and on and on and on. A really great example of this in pop music is Beyonce's Love on Top. Down here I've just used a drum loop, but you already have all of your drum beats ready for you. So how do we do this? We've got a lot of complicated notes over here, but I'm going to break it down to you to make it really simple. And you can do this with any of your chord progressions. So I'm going to show you with 3 different chord progressions how I've done this. 2 where the key is in C, and then the 3rd where the key is in A minor. And I will do my best to put in an image of our chord progressions, our 4-chord song chord progressions, so you can see how you will work out which one yours is. Just so you know, this is from the most basic ones. This isn't using the ones that have the developed chords, but you can absolutely use those too. So I'm going to get rid of this over here for just a second. I'm going to drag it all the way to the end because this is my final one that has my semitone modulation in it. So I'm imagining that you have got your bass chord progression, maybe you've got some rhythmic development happening here. And let's say that this is your final chorus. You want to make it really exciting at the end. You're not going to have this here, so I'm going to get rid of that. You're going to have 4 chords that are just like this. A reminder that to get into that space, either you double click, you hit these scissors up here at the top, or you press E on your keyboard to open up the editor. So I want this to happen over the course of half of a bar. So I'm going to open it up. Sorry if I'm yawning. I'm going to double click on my 2nd chord progression. Don't know why that happened. So I'm going to double click on my 2nd chord progression and I'm going to go to the last chord. In the case of this, my last chord is C major. I don't even need this lowest note, so I'm just going to get rid of it so that you're not confused. Because my chords are in the key of C major, I'm going to shorten this last chord by half. And the same thing with my bass line note. So I'm just going to drag it so it only takes up 2 beats of my bar. And now I need to put in this chord. I'm not going to explain the theory behind it, but you need to have all 4 of these notes: A flat, C, E flat, and G flat. These notes might also look a little different in logic. They might look like G sharp. That's not a sharp. G sharp. I'm just going to type that for now because my Mac keyboard isn't cooperating. C, D sharp, and F sharp, just so you know. So to get that, first of all, I'm going to find the C, the one that's the same. That's going to stay the same. So in my bass line, that's where I have my C. So I'm going to do Option and drag. Alternatively, you could use the pencil tool and do Command click in your C. Then, excuse me. here I've got an E. The closest one to that is going to be E flat. So I'm going to find E flat is one below, because a flat means lower, and click that in. That's showing me D sharp. They're the same note. This one's a C. And then here I've got a G. So this one's really easy. I'm going to turn that one into a G flat. I don't want two C's. That's not going to work for me. So I can say I've got a D sharp. I've got an F sharp. I've got a C, so I'm missing a D sharp. Am I missing a D sharp? No. I am missing an F sharp. A G sharp. This is why it's good to have it written out. So this one here, that's going to be my G sharp. So let's just check that this sounds right first before I go on. So I'm going to have a sound that sounds like that. Listen again. So it's going to sound like something is about to happen. Now to finish that off, what I'm going to do is highlight everything and press Command R. Command R is going to repeat it, so make sure you have space after. If you don't have space, make sure you drag everything after. So you have some space. Now, the way that this works best is then I play everything up a semitone. So here I'm going to highlight everything except my drum beat. Drum beats don't modulate, it's a beat. Click at the piano roll, press Command A, find one of those C's and drag it up to C sharp. And it's that simple. So now if I listen, days. I already have my modulation. Now at the end, what we don't want to happen is that it goes on and on and on and on. We're not trying to write the next Beyonce Love on top. So we need to make sure that we then stay on this final chord. So here I'm going to delete this and I'm just going to drag it to make it long. And then I'm going to go up here, I'm going to delete this final chord and drag these. So all together, this chorus is going to sound like this. I'd obviously have a chord at the end to make it feel like it's finished. So that's option one. But what if my last chord isn't that C chord? What if over here, instead of my last chord, I had C, G, D minor, and F? What happens if I do that? It's simple, it's just about the same. All you need to do is make sure that your last chord, again, is going to be shortened by half, and you add in these notes. So let's look at this together. I'm going to get rid of that. Drag this as extra long. Get rid of this bottom note just so it doesn't confuse us. So here I've got an F already happening in the bass. So the first thing that I need to do is shorten it. And the closest note that I had was F sharp or G flat. So I'm going to use my pencil tool. Command click there to get an F sharp. Then up in my chord, I'm going to shorten it. And then I just need to have all of the other notes. So this C is staying the same. So I'm going to command click in a C. There's always going to be a note that stays the same. Then, and if there isn't, don't worry about it. You just want them to all be as close as possible. So I already had an F sharp. I had a C. You might want to write these out. So I'm going to make this one an E flat. So I think it's that one there. Yeah, D sharp, great. And then here I had an A, then I'm going to do G sharp. And now it's going to sound like this. And then, oh, it feels like something's gonna happen. So we're gonna command R, all of this. Make sure it's all selected. Go into the piano roll, command A, and drag that up to a C sharp. And now we've got this. Remembering that I really like my more exciting drum beat because it adds the intensity. sounds like this, I'm just going to up the tempo so you're not sat through it for forever. Again, I don't want to have a little Beyonce's Love on top, so I need to make sure that the last chord there continues all the way throughout. Now, if you're doing this, you also want to make sure that you're telling the examiner that you've done this. So I would strongly suggest relabeling this, name and color, rename regions, chorus, up 1 semitone, or modulate, up 1 semitone. That way you remember to write about it. You might even want to change your color. You do that option C, and maybe I'm going to make it a brighter blue so that I know that I did that modulation. Great, let's look at our last one, looking at where we've got an A minor one. So here we're in A minor. I can see that from all of my chord work. It's going to sound a little different. Let's listen to the finished product first. Doesn't work as well, but it does work. Use the same melody. I think it works better personally in major keys, but you can also do this in minor. So let's look at how we do this. It's going to be exactly the same concept, but the last chord is going to be different. So let's imagine we've got this last chord. And same concept, but the notes are different. So in this case, my chord is going to be F, A, C, E flat, or D sharp, as Logic likes to call it. It's the same note. So I'm going to shorten my bass line first, and it's a D. Not that one. If you do that, that's okay. Just make sure you grab the line. So it's a D already, so I'm going to make that into D sharp. So Command click that in. Shorten my final chord. Now this one's an A, that's going to remain the same, so Command click that. This one's a D, so the closest now is going to be a C. And then this one is an F sharp, so the closest one's going to be an A. So let's check it sounds right first. Sounds right, got that love on top kind of feeling. Then I'm going to Command R, click in the piano roll, Command A, and drag 1 semitone. Let's have a listen. Again, I've got that more exciting drum beat. Let's listen to the whole thing. Don't want it to go on again, so as we said before, lengthen out that last chord. Now, lucky for us, although I just did everything with Midi, with everything clicked in, you can do this with audio too. Because this video is quite long, I'm going to show you that in the next video. So if you've already got your audio recorded in, you can go there, or if you don't, you should do this. We're not going to re-record the audio in a semitone higher. Modulating it in Logic is much easier. So have fun doing that, adding those great harmonic development points into your composition.